So it's not long to go until Christmas. But in the church, before we reach the season of Christmas, we have the season of Advent. Maybe you've been opening the doors of your Advent calendars for the last few weeks. I'd like to read you a few verses from Isaiah chapter 40, and this is a passage that's often read during the Advent season. Comfort my people, says our God. Comfort them. Encourage the people of Jerusalem. Tell them they have suffered long enough. Jerusalem, go up on a high mountain and proclaim the good news. Tell the towns of Judah that their God is coming. Winter's often a season when we look for comfort. Some of us enjoy comfort food, sausage and mash, crumble and custard, lasagna and garlic bread. Maybe comfort for you is staying wrapped up in a warm blanket, sitting by a fire and watching your favourite programme on TV. Perhaps it's having a hot drink on a cold day, a hot chocolate covered with whipped cream and big marshmallows. Or maybe it's the luxury of spending the whole day at home in your pyjamas all day. I think one of the reasons we look for comfort at this time of year is because winter is so uncomfortable. It's cold, it's dark, it's damp and miserable. The days are short. And for many people, we just want to retreat indoors and enjoy home comforts, enjoy the small things in life. This year, comfort feels more important than ever. It's been a hard year for everyone, but there are many people at the moment who are struggling, really struggling. People who are tired, people who are worried about the future, worried about money at home. There are people who are struggling with grief or loneliness, anger, frustration. It's been a tough year and comfort is more important than ever. But I have to say, much as crumble and custard is delicious, it's not that good that it can fix the challenges of this year. In this reading, the prophet Isaiah is speaking to God's people. God's people had been through the most awful time. Their beloved city of Jerusalem was invaded by the Babylonians. The Babylonians destroyed everything that mattered to them, the temple, the city walls, their homes, their families, their businesses. But worse still, they then captured the residents of Jerusalem and they forcibly marched them back to Babylon, where they were slaves. When Isaiah writes these words, "Comfort my people," what he's saying is that God has seen your suffering. He's seen everything that you've lost loved ones, that you've lost your homes, that you've lost your belongings and your businesses, that you've lost your traditions and your culture, everything that made you who you were. God sees their suffering and says that enough is enough, that he is coming. He's coming to put things right and put an end to their suffering. What's interesting is that you'd think because God's people were victims of war, that what God would do is he would fight back. But instead, he promises that he'll send a Prince of Peace who'll put right everything that was wrong, a Prince of Peace who will bring justice. In Advent, we're not just looking ahead to Christmas, we're looking ahead to a time when Jesus, the Prince of Peace, will come again to put right everything that's wrong in our world. I think that's better than a mug of hot chocolate or a cosy blanket. This year, we've been very aware of the things in our world that are wrong. I'm not just talking about COVID, I'm also talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and that stark reminder that we've had that there are things in our world that are wrong. There is injustice that needs to be put right. For Christians, Advent isn't just about sitting there passively waiting for God to come. It's actually about getting ready for God. And the way that we get ready for God is we put our own lives in order and then we do what we can to put our world in order. We don't fight back as such, but we do throw off our duvet and get up and take action so that we can put right the things in our world that are wrong. That for me is what Advent is about, not just opening the doors on the Advent calendar, but really thinking about the kind of world that we want to be part of and then thinking about what I can do to make that world a reality. Amen.